After you've connected to a network, you might start to wonder how a network functions so that data can actually be transmitted from one computer to another. Beyond that, when you send data, you might want to know just how the data knows where to go once it's been transmitted. Well, for starters, each computer must be uniquely defined on a network. That identification starts with an IP address. An IP address is an address much like the address in your house. It defines a unique location on the network, just as your house address defines a unique location on your street and in your city. That information, along with other addressing technologies, are just part of the networking picture though. Let's take a look at the Local Area Connection dialog box. You can open this from the Network and Sharing Center, like so. Right-click the network icon on the taskbar and click Open Network and Sharing Center. Take a look around to see what's available. Notice what kind of connection you have, wired or wireless. Click the connection, like so, and then click Properties. In the resulting dialog box, you'll see some terms you saw in the introductory slide. Let's talk for a minute about TCP/IP. TCP/IP is the default wide area network protocol that provides communications across a wide variety of network types and infrastructures. This is where you can configure how the computer gets its TCP/IP information. It's important to understand that in order for data to travel across to similar networks, such as those separated by a router, TCP/IP must be used. Go ahead and click Cancel. Let's return to the status window, and this time, click Details. Now take a closer look at the TCP/IP addresses in the Details dialog box. The IPv4 address is the IP address assigned to the computer. You'll also see an IPv6 address. IPv6 is a newer IP technology that greatly increases the number of IP addresses available to the general public. You can see other information too. For instance, you can see how long the computer has had this particular IP address next to Lease Obtained. When a lease expires, a new lease is granted. This helps to keep the pool of IP addresses valid and up to date. Also note the default gateway. This is the IP address of the router that allows traffic to move into and out of the current network. The MAC address, or Media Access Control address, is a unique physical address. This address is generally supplied by the manufacturer of your computer. Let's return to the Details box and find your physical address. My physical address is selected here. Finally, look at the DHCP and DNS entries. Let's talk about these terms for a minute. DHCP, or Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol, is used to assign IP addresses automatically. The alternative is to manually assign an IP address to every node on the network, which is a time-consuming and error-prone process. You likely saw that DHCP was enabled for your network connection in the Network Connection Details dialog box. It is possible to manually input a static IP address that never changes. I'll return to the dialog boxes here and show you how. First, I'll click Close. And then in the status box, I'll click Properties. I'll click IPv4 and Properties again. And then I'll select Use the following IP address. This is where you type your static IP address, which you'll need to obtain from a network administrator. You'll click OK, but I'll click Cancel here. When a computer can't get an IP address from a DHCP server and no static address is enabled, an address is automatically assigned to it by Windows. This is known as automatic private IP addressing. APIPA uses a reserved range of 169.254.0.0 to 169.254.255.254, and it's a Windows-based feature that enables communications when no other options are available. DNS, or Domain Name Service, is another term you'll run across when studying networks. DNS is the system that enables users to type a website's name into a web browser instead of its IP address, and DNS is responsible for name resolution. Name resolution is important because without it, users would have to know the IP address of each website they wanted to go to and type that address in manually instead of a name like www.google.com. To see the current DNS server assigned to your computer, click Details in the Local Area Connection dialog box and locate it in the list. As you can see here, I have 3, but you may only see 1. You can change your DNS server if you'd like. Here's how to change to Google Public DNS. We'll go back to the Network and Sharing Center and click Change Adapter Settings. Right-click the connection you want to change and click Properties. Click either TCP/IP4 or TCP/IP6. I'll click 4 because it's easier to type, and click Properties. Click Use the following DNS server addresses and type the IP address to use. The Google server DNS is 8.8.8.8. Here you'd click OK, but let's go ahead and wait for a minute until the movie is finished. This last slide sums up the terms I've introduced here. Remember, you can access this kind of information in several places, and you learned a couple of ways in this movie. Before moving on, take one last look at the information in the Details dialog box, and make sure you understand the terms.